Hi there. Thanks for tuning in. This is the Follow Your Passion podcast. I'm your host, Erwin Wils. I'm a mindset and business strategist and founder of Millionaire Life Strategy. In this podcast, I'm interviewing my clients and other entrepreneurs that are following their passion and make a good living out of it. When you want to know more about me or what I can do for you, check out my website, millionaireLifestrategy.com. But first, check out this episode of Follow Your Passion. Hello everybody, welcome to a new episode of Follow Your Passion. Today my guest is Katie Swanson. Katie's story is actually a great one. She is a fitness enthusiast and has been all her life. Started out as an athlete, experienced her first group fitness class in college, taking up running, and still today she's active as an avid exerciser, marathon finisher and triathlete. She's also loves numbers. She's excelled in math, finance, and accounting, and after 15 years of public and corporate accounting and financing, she decided to combine the two and started her own accounting and finance firm in 2020. Katie now services businesses in the fitness industry in a financial planning analysis role. As a business geek, she works closely with owners to really understanding their operations and help them plan a life plan and live out of their dreams. Welcome, Katie. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Erwin. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So you combined your two passions, it's fitness and it's numbers, and you got a very special niche, I would say. How did you come to make that move to start your own business?
So maybe I'll answer that in two parts. One, I started my own business to have my own schedule, work with the type of customers I want to work with, doing the type of work I want to do. That type of work that I like to do is really that financial planning and analysis that I learned to love in corporate. Mm-hmm. Really get into business operations and working with, the business owner on a strategic approach to their business and advising them throughout, carrying out their operations. And then my focusing on the fitness industry obviously came from my love for fitness and in trying to market my accounting firm. I stepped out because I wanted to work with the kinds of customers I wanted to work with. I knew I wasn't going to be the local, the biggest local accounting firm. I thought that was just, women business owners, which ended up still to be too broad in trying to market and target my customer. And so just kind of went for it, put out some marketing for an event that I was doing, focused on my target customer of the fitness industry, had some success with that, which gave me the confidence that I could do that, niche to that specific target market. And I haven't looked back since.
Nice. And you've been in corporate life for 15 years, doing all kinds of accounting and financing planning for other businesses. Is there a big difference between those businesses and the businesses in the fitness industry?
So yes and no. So there is more complexity with a larger business, maybe more going on, but they still need the same services. Everyone still needs to complete their books. So they have, good numbers for compliance purposes, but even beyond that, corporate has a financial planning and analysis teams. That same kind of business planning and analysis can be beneficial to a small business owner so they can understand what their horizon looks like, so they can take what their dreams and goals are for their business and map that out. So, it might look a little bit differently for a small business versus a corporate, more complex business, but both corporate and small businesses benefit from it.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I can also imagine that people that are in the fitness industry doesn't, how do I say that? Like to be busy with numbers. They like to make people fit and help them and give lessons and stuff like that. And they don't want to be bothered by numbers, I guess. So that's where you come in, I guess.
That's absolutely right. I'm working with a small gym right now that she's like, I don't even want to do this. So we took that over for her. A lot of times those fitness professionals' best place is either coaching if they're good at that, if they're a small enough gym that's what they need to be doing, because they have that passion for their customer and understanding their business and what they want to be doing in that business and carrying that out rather than worrying about the back office and the numbers and understanding that, because it takes a different level, like a different skill set. And they were not introduced to that in college in getting their degree. Nowadays, I think some universities, they're required to take kind of a basics accounting course, but back when I was in college, I was in the School of Business, but that was about all that was in the School of Business were those business majors. So a fitness professional traditionally doesn't have that educational background. Maybe they are business savvy and can handle that, but they probably don't need to be spending their time on that in their business.
Oh yeah, I do so recognize that. I started my own business 7 years ago. I started out as a hypnotherapist. And the problem if you're doing a training on hypnotherapy or NLP or some other sort of coaching business, right? You get the tools and skills to help everybody. And you can be great at those tools, but there isn't anything about entrepreneurship, and if you want to start your own business, you have to have a lot of different hats on, right? You just can't do the thing you're good at and think the rest will come. You need to have at least some basic understanding of that. Do you recognize it with your clients as well, that they're very good in their field of expertise, but they're lacking some basic knowledge about the numbers and accounting? And does it change their way of doing business once you start working with them as well?
Oh, I agree, right? Like they're the experts in their field. They and I see it in my own business too. And I know accounting and I know numbers, but marketing was something new to me. So just understanding that skill set and finding the right expert in that field to help me, just like a fitness professional can understand their own limitations when it comes to finances and seek an expert in their field. So I have been able to help some fitness business owners understand, if they want to go move to a new location or build their own location, what does that take and how long does it take them to get there? So then they really understand what it takes to meet their goals. I need X number of members per month until I reach capacity, and at capacity, then I can look to opening in a new market and just really understanding that. And I work with them on a monthly basis too, because we develop their plan and then, it is expected that they operate according to that plan. So then we visit their actual operations according to the plan that we put together and can show them where they're deviating from that, where their focus needs to be on the next month based on what we have planned for them. So for example, in the summer, there's lots of kids programs happening. We had forecasted in a kids program for July. So when I met with my fitness business owner in June, I said, okay, we forecasted a kids class next month. What have you done for that? Because we have, X dollars forecasted in as revenue for that. So then that was kind of their target, that gives them that accountability of, this is what I said I was going to do. This is what's in the plan. What have I done according to that? And then even some accountability budget-wise on expenses. So, we have budgeted out certain dollars for event expense or equipment upgrades, and just making sure that they're sticking to that and making wise decisions. In a meeting this month, I said, make sure that you evaluate that customer experience, and then let's talk about any expenses that you might want to take on related to that, and make sure that you're going to get a return on investment for that. That's the best, spending that you could be doing right now, just based on what their horizon looks like.
Yeah. Oh, and I think there's a lot of value in that because, it makes sense to have kids workshop or boot camps or whatever in the summer times, But if you want to have those, you have to start filling them like maybe in March or April already, to get it known. And even though it's currently the midst of summer, if you want to do something with Christmas, you already got start thinking about it. And it's a different kind of running your business.
Yes. Just knowing what that plan is and thinking ahead instead of at the last minute, definitely your results will be better the more you plan. Some of the another fitness business that I worked with was heavily impacted by the pandemic. And working with them, I think it just gave them the confidence that their business could return because they were so heavily impacted and return at a sustainable rate. Like what they've already been experiencing as far as their gym returning to pre-pandemic levels, membership coming back, we were able to forecast that out for them and for them to see, okay, this is when I can reach pre-pandemic revenue. The membership may not quite be back yet for them, but this is when revenue will be back with some pricing structure changes. So I think that almost was like a sigh of relief for them to be like, okay, like it's returning, like I'm getting to break even, I'm not losing money anymore. And then what that looks like over the next couple of years is that revenue returns.
Nice. And now you mentioned it. Did the lockdown and the pandemic? I guess it hit hard on your niche, right?
Well, and it's so interesting. It's really geographic based. So I worked with a gym in New York who did see quite a decline and has not returned to pre-pandemic levels. And then working with this fitness business owner in California, who probably has been the most heavily impacted in that geographic region. But then really, again, being able to show them this is how your revenue can return. Again, like industry wide, probably in those areas, membership probably isn't going to return, but what can you do with either pricing or ancillary services to bring your revenue per member back up to where it was pre-pandemic level? And we can forecast that out and help them plan for that and see what that means for their business. There are gyms that actually, I went to Ursa a couple of weeks ago. That was in June, and talking to gym owners there are some gyms that are actually doing better. And some of that's because maybe gyms in their area closed. So it is geographic. It is gym specific, just on what their experience is like. It's a little crazy.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Did some of your clients also pivoted the business to other services, or are they still sticking with the old program that they had?
So the gyms that I work with have not pivoted and are not quite doing anything different than what they did pre-pandemic. Actually, none of them are offering a virtual offering. They're pretty much in-person live classes. One of them is a franchise, so they didn't have a lot of flexibility in that area. Their franchise, the franchise just didn't offer that option for them. So they are dependent on the members returning to the gym, which the industry is seeing. It's just potentially going to take a while. And gym members are returning to the gym, but in combination with a virtual. So maybe, in the pandemic, they did start some kind of virtual routine, but now they are wanting to get back to the gym for community, but still keep some of that virtual. So it really is a hybrid approach. Yeah. And just because a gym isn't offering a virtual service, I learned this at Ursa, that's probably not the best investment of their money at this time, is to create their own virtual classes, because there's so many, high level virtual classes already that they can leverage and just incorporate into their gym as maybe an increased subscription level, is just bring in somebody's other virtual offering with their live in-person classes.
Okay. Well, I could also imagine that some of the gyms would have offered group lessons and are now doing more private lessons, like the one-on-one personal training and stuff like that. So in the pandemic, you did see some of that where people were more comfortable working one-on-one. So you did see that. But really, the community is big in members returning to the gym. So I would say pushing those group training classes or group fitness classes is really where the gym owner is going to see the best success with members returning. Yeah. And I think in the US, it's a bit the same as in the Netherlands, that you also got a lot of people or fitness members that are suffering from the pandemic pounds that they gained.
Right. Yes. I mean, certainly we've seen that, right? A lot of time at home, sitting around, maybe not taking advantage of the great outdoors to get moving. That did happen. And then just the extra focus on coming out of that on health. and physical activity as it relates to your personal health and being healthy to be able to combat viruses.
So one of the benefits from your passion for fitness and working like you do is that you also stay on top of all trends, I guess. Are there any new trends in the fitness area that you see happening right now?
So I try to stay on top of all new things in the fitness industry. And again, at the end of June, I went to IRSA in Miami, and I'll be going to an industry conference the end of August and September too. The biggest thing that I took away from IRSA is just the optimism for the industry as a whole. The fitness industry is not experiencing maybe supply chain disruption or due to energy and price increases. There's not a lot of transportation costs. So a lot of the inflation is not really impacting the fitness center so much in costs, unless you're talking about payroll maybe. So there's that's positive for them. And then just the overall, again, perception of what health means to individuals now coming out of the pandemic and how important that is, that there's a lot of optimism for the industry above and beyond, other industries that are impacted by the inflation, the increased energy prices and supply chain issues and that kind of thing. There's just been a lot of, I went to a financial panel and they really emphasized that. As far as trends, they just said gyms, members are returning to gyms, but not to pre-pandemic levels. And so really your opportunity to increase revenue is by bringing in ancillary services rather than potentially your gym membership returning. So a focus on that. So recovery is a big one that you hear in the industry. A lot of gyms are creating just recovery rooms. And that's obviously for bigger, big box gyms. If you're a smaller studio with more of a focused modality, I don't know how likely that is for you to be able to invest in a recovery room, but potentially, maybe some mindfulness training, because that's becoming big in the fitness industry, is just, the stress and being able to de-stress. And that's part of recovery too, without commercializing it with a bunch of products.
Yeah, I can imagine that. So as you said at the beginning of this interview, when you decided to choose this niche, this fitness industry, you started out organizing events, right?
I had a webinar.
Oh, you had a webinar. So how did it go? Tell us, how did it get you to your first client?
So it got me to my first client. So when I started in mid 2020, we were in the middle of the pandemic, a lot of financial assistance in the United States. And then in spring 2021, I did my first webinar, and with a focus on, I think it was PPP, which was the PPP loans here in the United States. And I used a mailing firm that was able to niche down by industry code to mail out to fitness gym owners, which was like my target. I had one gym show up. I had about 10 to 15 show up. One of those was actually, a target, and he ended up and signed up for me to do his PPP loan forgiveness application. And then I ended up and did his employee retention credit payroll tax return amendments to get his payroll credits through ERC. So that is like my success story, and what gave me the confidence to niche to the fitness industry that I could do it. Nice.
So as I understand correctly, you got like 1 foot in between the door, so to speak, and the one service led to another one and led to a very satisfied client.
Yes. And then to several more as I, immerse myself within the industry.
Nice. And if you have an outlook of about 4 to 5 years, do you have a plan where you want to go with your business or what you want to achieve?
So absolutely. My goal is to eventually grow to $1 million of annual revenue, which would be about 10 to 12 employees. And what that looks like for a fitness business is, I service gyms as small as $100,000 of annual revenue, probably up to between 3 to 5 million. Beyond that, they could probably hire, internal team members to handle this, and maybe would want to, and grow my team of fitness professionals so that we can really mentor and coach fitness business owners and gyms in growing their business. We are in the industry. We are fitness professionals just like you. This is right. Like my selling point, my tagline is growing our team of fitness professionals, but that are also financial and accounting experts, because there's several of me out there, I think, and just building a team of fitness professionals that potentially own their own fitness business, whether that's a gym or they're a personal trainer or a health coach. So we understand our customer and what they're doing from day to day, and we bring that finance and accounting expert focus to our relationship.
Nice. And are you also thinking about expanding your niche, or will it stay with the fitness industry?
I mean, I service clients that are not in the fitness industry right now. I've been referred to like a kind of like a dance studio. I can see cross relations to potentially nutrition coaching. If it's number of clients, number of sessions, pricing, right? Like the buildup of a financial plan would be similar. The thing with, kind of those outlying businesses is we're not immersing ourselves in those industries. Certainly we hear some potentially like nutrition information within the fitness industry, but being kind of the highest value that we can be for our customer is really understanding the industry that they're operating in, because we can bring so much more business advice and expertise and value to that relationship, because we know what's going on. We're hearing what's in the industry. If they're not attending, different webinars and updates, we are. And so we can bring a lot more to that relationship if they are in the fitness industry.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. And it's the same, is your marketing story can be different than the clientele you're actually helping. Because if somebody that's like a dietitian or a nutrition coach or a health coach, and he's reaching out to you because he or she is cooperating with one of the gyms you're working for, of course you can help them, but it doesn't mean that it's your expertise. You right? So it's I think it's very good that you stick to your niche and your expertise, and that you say this is my added value. Of course we can do all the accounting, if you've done that for 15 years in the corporate world, but you're currently building your expertise within the fitness industry, and that's where you want to excel, and that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, you're right. We can do the finance and accounting for any business because we understand that. But beyond, bringing value to that relationship, beyond just the numbers, and really being a partner with them in their business and what they're trying to accomplish, we're really going to understand that fitness business a lot better than any other industry.
Yeah, I had a client, or no, not a client, a guest in my podcast a few episodes back, and she was also not into accounting, but she was about making businesses profitable, by making sense of the numbers and accounting. And I guess you do the same for your clients as well, that they make sense of the accounting and of the figures and the cash flow and how they should look at the data. And so do you see that they're changing the management of the business by the insights they're getting from the data you deliver to them and the advice you give them?
Certainly. So they see the potential for their business, for one, which I think, keeps them going. And then the second one, I just did kind of an after action review with a gym owner who held a big event. We looked at her spending and her revenue. And so next year, when she holds this event, she can go into that planning with a lot, being much more informed and what she needs to do to make that event the best event it can be for her gym, for her members, and for her gym numbers wise. So that was good. And, she'll do some things different next time. And then I think the biggest thing that the financial planning does for a business owner is lets them see their potential and how they can make their dreams and goals come true. Because we walk through all of that with them when we're putting together a plan, and we don't put together, some dreamland plan. We make sure it's sustainable and we're not growing beyond the gym's capacity, beyond what they can actually handle on a day-to-day basis. So it's very reasonable and it makes sense, and it can really just show them how it is possible.
Nice. And if you look at your current clientele or the clients you've had in the past, which one comes to mind if you think about the biggest success or the biggest transformation you've accomplished for them?
So it would have to be the small gym that I work with. She initially came wanting to build her own location because she wanted to move out of her current location, was really what she wanted to do, thinking building her own space would be her solution to that. So I was able to forecast out and show her, at a specific growth rate, where when she could be into that spot to have enough cash to put down to purchase land and build a building. So that gave her, that showed her how that was possible. Well, then it came to another space opening up. So she, ended up and moved into a new space recently. And in doing that, in working with us, she got an SBA loan. And so she already had the forecast necessary to give to the lender for that loan. So she was able, to kind of go from, all right, I'm moving in, to having a loan to actually moving in within 2 to 3 months, because she already had an established relationship with us. So now she's in her happy place.
Nice.
Actually, physically and mentally, it's been a big boost for them. And we were able to help her do that.
Nice. And how does it feel if you think about what you did for her? Isn't it an amazing feeling that you're able to help a person achieve their goals and their dreams as well?
Oh yeah. That's why we say that's what we do, because we like to do that, right? Like, I want to show someone how it is possible, because it totally is. Like, we can't lose hope. We can't, shut off that dream because we're not even sure how that would be possible. So we can show you how it is possible.
Nice. Do you also, how was it for you to become an entrepreneur, actually? Because, you love numbers, you loved fitness, so you decided to start your own business. Did you have some experience as an entrepreneur, or did you just get some coaching, or how did you start as an entrepreneur? So
I have never owned my business before. I always felt as if I was, had that entrepreneurial mindset in any kind of job that I held. I really took ownership of that. And, I kind of jumped into it, and there is I was a little naive, and I equate it to becoming a parent. We were a little naive in becoming parents. I was a little naive in stepping out, but I've made it. I did invest in a business coach for probably the first 6 months of my business to get some guidance. I've surrounded myself with so many people. I had a business coach just even before I stepped out on my own to just talk through what all my different possibilities were. So I had a coach then. I had a coach when I started my business. I became part of a coaching group, which I'm still part of. I have a marketing coach who kind of helps me on a monthly basis with a marketing firm that I work with. So I have surrounded myself with all kinds of coaches in this journey, in addition to all of the podcasts that I listen to continue to learn and educate and get ideas and what should I be doing. So definitely I'm not on this journey alone, because I surround myself with people that know a lot.
Perfect. And it's great to have this this coaching group, maybe you can call it a mastermind, or you can at least have some sparring with your peers, and learn from their mistakes as well, or learn from your own mistakes. Was it hard for you to, I'm sure you made a mistake somewhere down the line, did it feel hard for you, or was it a very wise learning at that moment?
Yeah, I've learned a lot of grace, right? And I feel like a lot of it is around marketing. Oh, what was recently? This was somebody was like, a real business faux pas. Just like a week or two ago, my email wasn't working, and I was like, what's going on? So I have an IT consultant and had kind of messaged them. And then I learned my website wasn't working. And I was like, okay, well, then it's got to be something with my domain. So I went and checked that out, and, my website domain had expired. So it was easy peasy to fix, once I figured out what it was, and it was fixed within 24 hours. But, just kind of one of those real world, this happened. I was like, I went to bed. So I learned about it in the afternoon. And then at 9 o'clock at night, I learned it was my website domain. So I went and renewed that and took care of it. But my email came back, but my website still hadn't, kind of come back. And I figured it would just take some hours for, everything just in the system to get to working. And I was like, okay, I can go to bed. It's not the end of the world if somebody tries to get to my website and they get an error. And so I did. And the next morning I woke up and it was all fine. So that's probably one of the most recent, maybe mistakes, in business that I've made. And so I just had to learn, it's a lesson learned. I hit my auto renew on my domain so that doesn't happen again, and everything is fine.
Nice. Yeah. And it's a great example. And it's also, as you heard it, you didn't panic, right? You just closed down the options, you say, okay, well, email is not working, website's not working, so probably my domain. So you narrowed it down, and it happened to be that was the issue, very easy to fix. And it also shows that as an entrepreneur, as you already said, you have this entrepreneurial mindset, but it's already helping. You're just not closing down and become a victim. You just accept the status quo. This is the situation. Can be A, B, or C. Let's see. No, it's not A, not B. So it will probably be C. And it is. And that's how you solve your issues. And that's wonderful.
Thanks.
And it also shows that at least you have to have a basic understanding of all the things involved in entrepreneurship, right? I'm not an expert in social media marketing or whatever, right? I've tried some Facebook ads. At the beginning it worked, and then they changed the algorithm, and I have a very hard time creating the right text, because you can say something about a child can have this, but if you make it your child, it's already offensive and you can't use it. So driving me crazy. But at least you need to have a basic understanding of how it works before you can outsource it, right?
Yeah. So marketing, I feel like even recently, I'm like, if you could start a business and marketing, you are already way ahead, because you have to have marketing to have a business, to have customers, to have a business. And I have learned so much. I pretty much knew nothing. I didn't even hardly get on social media personally. So yeah, it's been a lot of learning, and it's just a journey. Trying things not, I don't know if they're mistakes, because that's what I've heard. You just have to try things, which is really hard for me, and just to try and see if it works. So yeah, I don't know if I would call marketing mistakes. It's a lot of learning and adjusting and seeing what works for you. And it's a journey.
And that's exactly what you say. There are no mistakes. There are only learnings, right? There are a lot of things you do especially when you're starting a business at the beginning. There are so many things you do for the first time, and it would be a miracle if you got everything right the first time. So you're bound to make mistakes, rookie mistakes, but they're all learnings because you only do it once, right? You're not doing it twice or three times in a row, unless you're very hard-headed, but most of us aren't.
Yeah. Yeah. I think about how much money I've spent on marketing, and I'm like, oh, like if I could have that money back, I mean, not on everything, right? But just things I'm like, oh yeah, like I didn't get anything out of that, but I guess I learned that maybe that's not what I should be doing.
Exactly. It's the same with some trainings I bought indeed. So I totally know what you're getting, especially at the beginning, when you're just a newbie in the entrepreneurial journey. And you see a lot of people having success and they're selling their trainings or products, and all those stories about, I had nothing, I was almost broke. Then I found the golden key and I tried it, it worked. And I'm sharing all my learnings with you, and I'm not that special. So if I can do it, you can do it as well. You have to just do it like this. And you think, oh, that's great. You want very fast success, and only to find out it's not working for you. And I've had a lot of those trainings as well. And they're all learnings, Are there mistakes? I don't know. You just learn that it's not for you. Mm-hmm. And that's also narrowing it down to what totally fits you. And if it feels good, you feel happy with it, please go ahead with that and don't bother the other things.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's a total mistake if you learned something from it, because there probably were some nuggets of takeaways that you can, use in other areas of marketing or of your business or something, but just maybe overall that wasn't what,
it's definitely, you learn from everything. It might not be that you can totally clone what they're doing, but at least you can take some principles from it and see how it applies to your business. So there are always learnings, as long as you're open for it.
Right.
Katie, I think you're on a wonderful journey and you got a great niche. Is there, if you could share one little tip or piece of wisdom with the audience that want to pursue their passion as well, or want to start their own entrepreneurship, what kind of tip could you share with the audience?
Recently, I've just been thinking a lot about relationships and connecting, because I really feel that's where the marketing, for me personally, I guess maybe the best marketing avenue is just getting in where you can develop relationships and connections with your target customer. Like it doesn't have, I don't feel like it has to be a bunch of fancy marketing. Figure out where your customer is. Maybe not necessarily digital marketing. I think they just really need to know you as an individual, and you need to get in front of them and make real connections and relationships with them.
Nice. I think building relationships is very key of a successful business, indeed. And maybe you can even think of non-competitive partnerships, right? Other companies that are servicing the same industry, but aren't a competition of you, right? For instance, I could think of clothing companies, right? That supply the fitness industry with clothing for all the members, or maybe some energy drinks or some supplements, right? They're not in competition with you, but they serve the same business. So building relationships and partnerships with them could also be very beneficial for your own business.
Mm-hmm, certainly. I mean, at URSA, so I was able to connect with another consultant in the business working in the HR area for fitness businesses and talent acquisition and keeping your team happy. And so they've been kind of just a great support. And then also it was in 2021 at URSA, I met an individual in like digital revenue streams. So they put a monitor in your gym, and then you essentially, I think, get advertising from vendors for your, to advertise in your gym, or you advertise your own services in your gym, to pull more revenue into those service lines. So I feel, just that support and being able to have a conversation with him about his business and how that's going, and just making those connections with other vendors in the industry is really good too, as you mentioned.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. So if people want to know more about you, Katie, or get in touch with you, how can they do that?
So changecollaborative.co is my website. If you want to book a free chat, you can certainly do that there. If you want to follow me on social, we're on Instagram and LinkedIn as Change Collaborative on LinkedIn and changecollaborative.co on Instagram.
Perfect. Thank you for being my guest, Katie. I really enjoyed the conversation. I think you're on a great journey and there's more to come from you. So thanks again and let's stay in touch.
All right. Thanks, Erwin.
I hope you liked this episode. Make sure to check out the other episodes because each one is filled with interesting and inspiring stories and energy. Are you following your passion as well and make a good living out of it? Contact me and you could be my next guest. Would you like to follow your passion but are not there yet? Check out my website millionaireLifeStrategy.com and book an appointment to discover what I could do for you. Don't forget to share the podcast with your friends so that they get inspired as well.